So I'm almost all the way through Smoke Lake. I'm going to be going through 3 lakes today. Start off in Smoke Lake, then I'll be in Ragged Lake, and then finally end up in Big Porcupine where I'll be spending the night. It's been an absolutely gorgeous start of the trip so far. It's clear blue skies, probably like 26 degrees or so, virtually no wind. Surprisingly, quite a few cars in the parking lot and paddlers on the water. So we'll see how many campsites are available. I hope I can snag a good one though. I'm so excited to be setting up shelter tonight. This over here are all my possessions for 3 days. It's actually quite a lot of stuff, isn't it? But I guess I brought a lot of toys. I brought a hammock, a tent, tarps, bunch of food to eat like a king for the next 3 days. That's gonna be great. So this is portage number 1 of the day. I've never portaged a kayak before, and obviously I don't have the most compact packing setup, so it's definitely going to be 2 trips. So I just finished my first portage of my trip. It's not too bad with bugs, it's a few, but I wore my bug jacket on the first way, and then in taking it off, it was getting too hot and the bugs weren't that bad. So went for my stuff, and yeah, I mean a few bugs, but nothing serious. So while I'm at this portage, I thought I'd do a little bit of exploring. There seems to be a cool dam over there. So let's go check that out. I guess sometimes you stumble upon really cool things when you step off of your pre-planned path. But it's getting on. I'm getting pretty hungry. So now that I'm in Ragged Lake, I think I'm going to see if I can find myself a nice little campsite or just a nice rock and set up a little lunch station. And then I'll boogie the last of the way to Big Porcupine and find a beautiful campsite. Oh man, I'm so excited for this. Too hot for socks and shoes today. Just gonna stow these in the boat. Oh, it's so nice. Can't wait to go for a swim later. But first, gotta make some distance before I can play too much. I just had a good session of playing. Now it's distance making time. Ragged Lake seems pretty cool. I saw a campsite right at the beginning on a beautiful rock that I think I'm going to choose for day 2 so far. But I still got a little ways to go, so let's see if there's some more spots between here and the portage. Just finished my second portage. That one was pretty brutal. It was at least double as long, 500 and something meters. And the bugs were out for blood. And then I got like crazy hungry. So as soon as I got here with all my stuff, I just sat down, had to make a quick wrap. But damn, felt good to get some food. As you can see, I got my bug jacket on because it was bad. And now I'm in Big Porcupine. This is my final lake of the day. So I can take it easy, can kind of peruse around, find myself a nice campground to settle in for the day. And set up shelter, have a proper lunch, set up some firewood and whatnot, and get a bonfire going. And yeah, then looking forward to making dinner later. Definitely hasn't been the ideal setup for solo traveling, but considering I've never done it before, not too bad. So I just finished my second portage. That one was a lot less fun. It was double the distance, probably close to 600 meters with a really steep incline. And portaging the kayak is not ideal, but you know what, I got it done. And the other end was pretty buggy, and generally it was pretty dense forest, so got a couple bites en route. And when I went back to get my bags on the way back to the kayak, I just got like so hungry. I mean, I kind of just been skipping eating because I wanted to make my way over to the campsite. I was so excited for it, but it got to a point where my stomach was hurting, I was losing energy, and it just wasn't good. It wasn't healthy. My body was telling me to eat something, so I hunkered down in the buggy end of the portage and quickly made myself a wrap. I just brought some hummus, some refried pinto beans, and some cheese. I was gonna cut some salami in there, but I was just too hungry. So I left it with the cheese, pinto, and hummus in the wrap. So rolled that up and down the hatch, and it felt so good to finally put something into my body. I've been paddling now for probably about 3-4 hours straight, and it's probably nearing 4 o'clock by now. And I just needed something to get me some energy back. But yeah, now I'm in Big Porcupine, which is my final lake for today. And it's a pretty long lake, narrow at the beginning, as you may be able to see. So I'm gonna basically make my way to the very end of the lake. I saw on the map that there's a campsite either on an island that's south facing that may have a sandbar, or a nice little peninsula. So yeah, we'll see what we can get. Ideally one of those two. Hopefully somewhere where there's a bit of breeze coming through and a nice spot for the sunset. A big open campsite is best, because right now the bugs are pretty awful. And I think the reason they were so bad at that portage was it was in a very secluded bay and there wasn't much wind coming in there. There's dark, dense trees, and that's just like a perfect place for bugs to hide out. So, yep, and that's about it. My hands are feeling a little bit sore from paddling. Haven't built up the calluses yet. But it's all good. I got everything all set, and I'm off to my final campsite of the night. Should be fun. So I must admit, I'm a little bit lost right now. I think Big Porcupine goes quite a bit further still, but right now I'm sitting kind of in a marshland, and the terrain doesn't look like the lake keeps going for a long time. I did scout 2 campsites back there. That'll do. They're not perfect. The best one on a really nice peninsula is taken already by 2 guys. So you know what? I'm just gonna keep going through this marshland. It's not that late yet, and see if the lake actually does continue in a more serious way past it, and if there's a couple good campsites. If I read my map correctly, it should continue, and there should be some really nice campsites in that direction. That should have just been the beginning of the lake. I wasn't on it that long yet. So yeah, whatever. Worst case scenario, I turn around and choose one of those sites. I don't really want to be in a marshland camping because I'm sure the bugs are going to be pretty bad here. So let's see how it goes. It's been very peaceful, meandering down this marshlandy area. Little twists and turns. There's water lilies everywhere. Like this is the kind of place that if I came in the morning or in the evening, I might be able to see a moose. It's a lovely landscape. I really hope behind that little outcropping is a lake again, because obviously I can't camp anywhere in something like this, but I'm feeling pretty optimistic at that point over there it'll open up into a lake. Because on the map it did get really narrow for a while, which makes sense that there was kind of a marshland into that narrowness. So we'll see. I really hope it opens up in the lake and I find a nice campsite, because I'm getting hungry again. This is the plague of a fast metabolism. You're always hungry. I cannot wait to fry up my bacon-wrapped pork tenderloins, or medallions, or whatever they're called. It's gonna be good. In the meantime, I'm just gonna relax and enjoy this beautiful scenery. I've been watching the cloud formations recently. When I started off the day, it was clear blue skies. When I started off the day, it was clear blue skies with the occasional puff cloud, and now it's starting to kind of haze over across the entire top there, and it's starting to get darker moving in from the north. So they did call for thunderstorms in the late evening, even at night. So I'm not all too concerned right now, but definitely keeping an eye on that. If it gets worse, then I'm just going to have to choose the nearest campsite and build myself a shelter, because I do not want to get stuck in a storm out here. Oh, you know what? This is looking pretty dense. I'm not sure I can get over there. This is a bummer. Maybe I just need to go in that direction. Ooh. The back of the kayak is heavy, and I'm starting to drag through here. The beaver dam on my left. Yeah, maybe I'm just down an incorrect tributary. Let's maneuver down here and push our way through. Oh boy! Come on. As you can tell, I'm basically half pushing, half pedaling, I should say. Yeah, looks like I just tried to take a shortcut. I should have stayed left, and then I could have saved myself this. Uh-oh. Grounded on a log. Come on. Oh, this starts to smell too when you stir it up. Oh, that's another log. Ooh. She's stuck real good on that one. Ooh, gross. Oh man, I really hope this was. Oh no, my lunch bag is falling. I'm falling apart. Turn the camera on and I start to fall apart. I really hope this is worth the effort, and there's a lake back here, because otherwise this will be a bit of a slog to get all the way back to where I came from. and choose a campsite that isn't exactly what I dreamed of last night. But, oh boy. We're back into the main area. I really wish I hadn't forgotten that map. I could have been consulting that as we move along. Oh, look how gross my arm is now from pushing myself off that log. Oh, this is better. Got some salad. Oh, please, please, please let that open up. Check this out. I just hit a bit of a beaver dam or something along here. I gotta find my way through that now. Guess I don't have any other option but to step into this goop. Oh, look how far down it's going, down past my knee. Oh, and to pull myself, I really hope I don't fall with the camera, and pull myself over this. Oh. Come on. There we go. Made it. So this is the marshland I've just been working my way through. This is the barrier beaver dam I just had to climb over. But if I'm right, behind that corner, it opens up into a lake again. Oh, fingers crossed. Otherwise I'm gonna have to go all the way back through all of this again. In case you're wondering, I did go completely the wrong way. Ended up having to backtrack all the way back and then another fair bit to get to the big area, Big Porcupine. I was originally going to camp out on this island over here, but it's a bit more dense than I would prefer, and I found a spot over there that seems to be wide and open. So I'm going to go check that one out. My gut tells me that's going to be the one. I think this over here is going to be home for tonight. You can see there's an orange sign over there, it means it's a campsite. There's actually another one down over there, and around the corner is a portage sign, I believe. So let's see, let's go scout this location, see if it's a good one. That was heavier than I thought to pull up. Let's go look at the campsite before I unpack, make sure it's the spot we want to be at for tonight. So far I'm liking it. It's wide and open, big area for a fireplace, tons of space to set up my tent, beautiful rock overlooking the water, lots and of free space, so should keep the bugs down a bit. Absolutely knackered. I think I'm going to call this a spot. It's got some beautiful sites for tents, nice raised areas with a bench even overlooking the water, some nice islands in the distance. We got something that looks like moose poop over here. Lots of moose poop. Damn, tons of moose poop. There seems to be a porta potty right in this direction. That looks like it could be a bit buggy, but that's kind of always the case. Bit of a path over to that other campsite. So this could definitely be a great spot if you came with a group of people and you needed to occupy 2 campsites. But yeah, this is going to be it. This is where I'm going to call it home for today. Oh, lots of butterflies right here. That must be a good sign, right? Okay, I'm going to go unpack my stuff, set up my shelter in case a storm rolls in real fast, and then collect some firewood to use my stick stove and make dinner. Whoa, can't wait for dinner. Should probably put on some shoes so I don't cut up my feet. I'm notorious for going camping and then stepping on something or tripping over something and hurting my foot in a bad way. So you learn from your mistakes. At least I hope you do. I really hope the wind picks up a little bit. Not that there's a ton of bugs, but I think if there was a bit of a stronger breeze coming through, there would be no bugs at this site. This is almost exactly what I was hoping for. Big, wide open, nice spot to put my tent and my hammock, and great spot to relax. Maybe snag a sunset, but it's getting pretty cloudy, so maybe not. Clothing and food. Miscellaneous items that just are hanging out in the boat. I think I'm going to use the spot with the beautiful view as my site. Just pile everything here at the tree for now. Really need to work on making my whole setup more compact. Beautiful spot. Gonna set my tent up first to have a proper shelter up. They're calling for thunderstorm later today, so in case things get crazy real fast, I want to be able to, you know, hunker down for a bit and not get completely swamped. I got two parts. The bug net part, the door at the front, uphill, so I don't have to sleep with the blood rushing to my head. Put it just like here. And then we got ourselves two poles for this Jack Wolfskin Grossmar, I believe it's called. We got one longer set and one shorter set, and they're kind of bendy, which is unusual. It's a pretty good tent though. So this is the longer one. The longer one goes on the top because that's where you have a bit more space. Oh, the mosquitoes are ferocious right now. I'll have to spray myself up in a moment. Yeah. And then there's pins going to the end of the. Oh, freak. Bad. That's gonna make it a fun setup. Come on, wind. I'm gonna grab my bug net. You look stupid with these things on, but it means you can relax and do the job you need to do. It's worth it. Always wear a hat underneath so it keeps it away from your face. Okay, so wait. Now the other pole. Goes on the bottom. And again, you got the two little pegs that clip into the bottom of the pole. One. And two. And then once you pegged it, that can be the tent by itself. So there's corner hoops. So I generally kind of just put a rough pegging in, and then I'll come around afterwards and position it exactly how I want. So obviously this should come a little bit in this direction so the tree isn't blocking my entrance. So I'm just gonna scooch it this way a bit. And then grab the back. There we go. That's the tiny tent. But I'll put a fly on it. Oh man, got mosquitoes all over it. I'm gonna put a fly on it just because of that forecasted storm. There we go. That'll do for now. Of course that can use a bit of tweaking still, but at least I got my shelter up in case the clouds roll in real quick. So next thing is organize my shit and take a little break. Oh yeah, that's gonna be nice. Here we go. Now I got a hammock with a bug net so I can read my book and chill without the bugs destroying me. Woo! I'm so excited to relax and have my shelter set up. So one of the things I'm most excited about on this camping trip is to try out a new toy. I've never ever used it before, which is a little bit scary going out in the wild for 3 days with having a piece of gear you've never even tried. But it's called a stick stove, and I'll show you guys how I try to get it going. So it's a pretty simple concept. Basically it's just a tiny fireplace where you can balance a pot on top of and cook your food. The obvious advantage is you have basically unlimited fuel source. Just need twigs, branches, whatever you can find in the woods, and cook away. Disadvantage is, you can't cook in a fire ban with it, and if it's really rainy you might have a tough time getting it started. So I also have this titanium cook set with me that I've never used, so it's a little frying pan with a handle. Also brought a scrubby sponge to clean it with, my little fire lighting kit, and then this is my soup pot, and this is the stick stove. So it's got a little grill on the bottom there and holes on the side for ventilation, and then on top goes your mount where you can either balance your pot on, or your pan on, or the pot on. So today I'm gonna make some bacon wrapped beef medallions that I bought at the grocery store, pre-made, and I think they'll fit perfectly one at a time in here. So I'll make one and then the other. I think I'm gonna make it with some mashed potatoes. So I'm gonna make the mashed potatoes first in here. And that's done, set it aside, and then make my beef medallions. But first, and most difficult, I think, will be to get the fire going in here nicely. So let me set up the materials. Alright, here we go. Got some different fuel sources. I got some like licheny material that I'm going to try to start it with. Never actually used that. Usually I use birch bark, but I haven't found any birch bark nearby. And I got some really tiny twig that I got off the bottom of some softwood trees. A little bit bigger size, some bark, not sure if I use that. And then this is going to be like my main coal making fuel source. But you want to have it prepped and ready. When I was watching some videos before I left, that was kind of the main takeaway, is that you want to make sure that you've done all the work you can before. Maybe for today I'll use a a match. I'm getting pretty hungry. The day's wearing on. Maybe tomorrow I'll play around with more fancy fire starting technique. So there goes the lichen. Wow, you really got to make this stuff teeny tiny, teeny tiny. And that's catching now my itty bitty ones. That's a fair amount of smoke right there. It's probably because I had too much lichen compacted. But it's caught. She'll go, she'll go. Get my food bags out of the way. Now I'll let it kick start. Not only is this more fun than using a traditional propane or gas cooking method, but it's also more sustainable. I mean, it's literally just a chunk of metal and a bunch of wood that you put in. I mean, what could be more sustainable than that, right? So, need to play around with what fuel source it likes the most to get going, but it'll go. As you can see, there's a pretty decent flame already. I need to get a better flint and steel. That thing sucks. So I see a lot of people online using these by lighting and like immediately starting to cook. But I think I'm gonna just get a little coal bed going in here before I get anything going on here. I just don't feel the need to rush it, and I'd rather not scorch the bottom of my pot. And if I have a good little coal bed in here, then I should be able to have more regulated heat. Oh. So I got myself 2 cups of water now. I'm gonna put the top on now. Got a nice little coal base. Lots of heat coming out of there. So the main thing I think now is to make sure it's nice and balanced on here, because I find the station isn't very big a platform for the pots. So it'd be a mighty shame to lose your food just because it's not properly balanced on there. Now there's a little hole here that you can keep feeding wood into as it diminishes, but it really seems to have a pretty slow combustion rate. If that's the right word. I'm no scientist, but you know, in it goes there, and water's on top. We'll see how it goes. So it seems like this is what I got for dinner. Got 2 bacon wrapped turkey breasts, packet of mashed potatoes, packet of chicken stew just to, I don't know, flavor up the potatoes. I got an onion and some oil, and then I've got some teas and hot chocolates, and obviously some chocolate for dessert. I'm excited to see how this first cooking session goes solo camping. So update, it's probably been about close to 5 or 10 minutes, and you can see the water's starting to heat up down there. I'm keeping the lid on just to speed it up a bit. Chopped up some of my onions here. So while my water is being boiling, I just kind of cleaned up the campsite a little bit, used that time while the water's just doing its own thing to set up a tarp, because it's getting pretty cloudy. There was a bit of wind kicking up, so I was worried that the rain clouds might move in kind of quickly. So I got a tarp set up. I tightened up my tent a bit. I actually stole the ridge line from my hammock, so might have to put that back afterwards again. But yeah, so food's coming along. I'm really hungry. I don't think that the solo stove's any slower than a normal stove, but definitely everything feels slow right now because I'm just so hungry. Yeah, here we go. Finally got a nice rolling boil. It took a little bit longer than I thought it would, but I think that's largely because I was only half attending to it. As soon as I started feeding it like a lot more and a lot more regularly and kept it hot, well, I guess that makes sense, kept it hotter, it boiled up pretty quick. Mashed potatoes are done. Got lots of that. And I got my turkey bacon wrapped medallion. Finally been able to relax a bit. First got here, I felt a little bit hectic for some reason. I guess maybe I had like a certain expectation of how I want to set up my campground and whatnot, so I was running around kind of frantically setting it all up. But now that everything's set up, I can breathe a little bit more. I took the tarp off again. It's still lying there, but I wanted a bit more airflow to keep the bugs away, and honestly just a nicer view. So if the rain comes back, or comes in the first place, I'll toss it back on and give myself some shelter while I'm cooking here. And then maybe I'll flip it over to the other side of the hammock so I can read my book, even if it is raining. But so far it's holding up. The weather forecast I think said late at night it should start thundering and rain, and then should clear up by morning. So hopefully that stays true, and I can just have a nice night in my tent with a bit of pitter-patter on the roof. That's fine. I kind of like that actually. Kind of cozy. But I'm damn hungry. It may not look like the most appetizing thing in the world, but trust me, it's going to taste amazing. So overall, a fantastic day. Although towards the end I got a little bit tired there, but I'm going to call it a night now. I'm going to lie in my hammock and read a book for a bit until it gets dark, and then I'll crawl into tent. Wow. Then I'll crawl into bed and hopefully get a good night's sleep. See you guys tomorrow. I woke up to an extremely peaceful morning. When I was lying in my tent, I wasn't sure if the sun was out, but I'm just on a west exposure here, so wait, I'm on an east exposure? North, east. I'm on Eastland with west view. Whatever. I get to see the sunset, not the sunrise, so there's just no sun on my campsite really yet. Starting to trickle through the trees, but it's all good now. Had a good night's sleep. Took me a while to fall asleep for some reason, but once I was asleep I slept really well, very comfortably. There was a slight slope, but that was all good. And yeah, I probably slept till like 6:30, 7ish, and then kind of just lay in bed and dozed around for a bit, especially since I didn't feel the sun on my tent yet. And read my book, then I freshened up, and now I think I'm going to get my solo stove cooking again, get it lit, and make myself some tea, or maybe some hot chocolate, and some oatmeal for breakfast. But it did rain a bit, so we'll see how easy it is to get it started with slightly damp wood. But I did keep a little bit saved away yesterday, protected from the rain, just to get it started. Now this is my breakfast. I got a cup of black tea and a big old bowl of oatmeal with a bunch of cranberries and chocolate and nuts and seeds in it. And I get to have this as my view while I'm having breakfast this morning. Could be worse spots to have breakfast, eh? I think I may have made too much oatmeal. Thought I'd show you guys how I make my itty bitty pieces for the stick stove. I started off yesterday with pine wood, but now I've switched over to maple. It's fine, it burns a little bit longer, that way I don't have to like keep feeding it all the time. These pieces of wood that are probably about 2-3 thumb thicknesses, and then I chop it down the middle and make little segments out of them. Yeah, I'll show you. So I break myself a piece off. So I kind of made 3 different splits out of that, and now I do sort of, I don't know, finger length pieces, a little bit smaller than finger length. Yeah, so I end up with pieces of wood that are about yay big. Lots of clean surface area, nice and dry for the fire to catch on. Using this axe for the first time. It's a beautiful looking blade. beautiful shape. Can be used kind of in the crook, just like that, to almost as a knife, or obviously as a hatchet or a small axe. So first trip I have it on, so far really liking it, especially like this bottom piece here. It's good to get into a piece of wood to split it, or get it going. So I really like that. Even if you're out camping, remember to brush your teeth. So I guess this is goodbye to this wonderful campsite. I really enjoyed this spot. Had amazing views, lots of fresh air sweeping through, great spots to set up my hammock and tent and have my little stove with a bench overlooking the water. It was absolutely fantastic, exactly what I was hoping for. The wind's really kicking up now, clouds are starting to move in like crazy. I was originally going to sit around and relax, read my book for a bit, but I do think it's time to go now. I'm going to make my way back the direction I came yesterday, but I'm going to meander a bit, depending on wind. And then I'm going to stop in Ragged Lake, and I think I'm going to choose that campsite that I saw yesterday coming in, as long as no one else is taking it. I just saw 2 canoeists go by, but my assumption is they're probably booking it back to the cars tonight. But we'll see. So I'm going to do one more loop, make sure I didn't forget anything, make sure I'm adhering to leave no trace. All I have is a little bit of leftover wood, but I think the next guest will be happy to have a little bit of extra wood handy when they get to site. So I'll catch up with you guys in the water. It's an absolutely gorgeous day again out today, but it's a lot windier. I'm just sitting in a little bit of an alcove right now. Around that corner I'm seeing whitecaps, so it's probably going to be a lot harder of a push today. So I think I'm going to make my way straight to the campsite that I chose, unload my kayak, and then maybe explore at that stage instead of exploring now with a full kayak loaded up. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. There's pretty big clouds up above. I hope they don't clump together and drop down a bunch of rain on me, because I do not have my rain gear quickly accessible. Maybe an oversight, but you learn from your mistakes. Here we go. I might not take out my camera for a bit in those windy conditions. I just saw a chipmunk swimming, and a good distance too. I've never seen one swim before. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but I've just never seen it. So I was watching a little fellow doggy paddle, chipmunk paddle across the water, and he made it to shore safe and sound, so good for him. Also, I've noticed twice now, there's a cluster in Porcupine Lake at the top of it, now I'm at the bottom of it, of 3 loons. I think it's too early for them to have juvenile children. They look almost full grown. It's amazing how cooler temperatures and less hunger makes a portage so much easier. I just did that same 600 meter portage that I did yesterday between Ragged and Porcupine, and yesterday was a real haul, but today really wasn't that difficult. I mean, it started the day and it's probably 5 to 8 degrees cooler right now, so overall just way easier portage. Gonna have a quick granola bar. It is lunchtime now, but I think I'm just gonna book it to the campsite and have a more luxurious lunch, kind of spread out, relax a bit, take it easy. But yeah, still got to make my way through most of Ragged Lake to the campsite I think I want to have for today. So far, day 2 has been a lot more relaxing, slower pace. I don't need to rush as much. It was really nice to have a super chilled out morning without any stress about, getting anywhere on time. So I knew I had plenty of time to make it to Ragged and to the campsite I want to go to. I'm almost there, and it's probably just about 1 o'clock now. The weather is a lot more difficult today. There's a boatload of wind and the occasional little rain patch that goes through. A little bit ago I got rained on real hard and the wind picked up like crazy, so the waves were splashing my face and the rain was coming from above, and it was a pretty gnarly ride for a bit, but it subsided within 5 minutes or something, so it wasn't worthwhile pulling over and grabbing my rain parka and battening down the hatches kind of thing. So I just kept on going through and dried up pretty quick. It's amazing, these clothing, how fast it all dries. So the original campsite I wanted on Ragged Lake was taken. There's no boat there, but there was a tent still set up and a cooker and some chairs. It was a great site, beautiful rock, nice wind. So I looked at my map and I saw that there was a deep bay here with lots of campsites. And I think, as long as not another tent hiding somewhere, I think I found mine. It looks so cool. Check it out. So it's got its own private beach peninsula. Check this out. So this will make a really nice swimming spot, and the campsite is up in that direction. Let's hope no one is here. I really want this site. I think this one could be so cool. Might be a lot of walking between the sandbar and the campsite. But that's okay. Looks good, looks empty. Looks like I got myself my spot. Algonquin Park has provided again. Oh, the view. The view is spectacular. Oh, and a nice breeze. Okay, this is a good one. Check out this view. I'm not even sad anymore that I lost that other campsite. The issue with that campsite is that there was a lot of other people nearby. So I'm sure you would have heard other people, but as far as I can see here, I'm completely secluded in this bay and at quite a height. So even if someone else did come into the bay, I would kind of be king of the castle here. But it is a bit of a walk down to my boat. Maybe I'll take her around to the front and then climb up that hill that leads right to the campsite. That might be a bit quicker. So I'm gonna do that, I think. But this is so cool, this spit of sand here. What a perfect spot to come for a swim and just sunbathe, honestly. I think there's enough wind that the bugs will stay away. Wow. Wow! How amazing! Woohoo! Yeah. Sometimes it's worth paddling a little bit further and exploring a bit to find something as rewarding as this. Yes, I can't believe it. I can't believe I found this site. Wow, this is definitely a place to come back to with some friends. You can play frisbee here, jump in the water so easily, lots of space for tents. Damn, this would be cool. So cool. I think I'm going to make this kind of my chill out sleeping area. I want to see if I can set a hammock up between these two trees over this abyss here. We'll see. That might not work, but I'll play around with it. And then I want to, ooh, thunder. Ooh, okay. Set up my tent here. Now that I hear thunder, I'm going to do that first. And then I'll play around with the rest, but I also really need to have lunch. It's probably, I don't know what time it is, but it's probably close to 2 o'clock by now. It's getting really windy. I want to set up my shelter in case the heaven opens up on me here. So here we go. Here's my little tiny tent with a pretty fantastic view. I just whipped myself up some wraps with hummus, refried beans, and some chicken. And of course some cheese to top it off. This is a pretty simple meal, but very calorically dense, lots of protein. It should be pretty tasty. So I'm going to wrap these up, sit myself in the hammock, and relax and enjoy the view a bit. What an absolutely golden spot I found here. I'm really excited to just unwind and relax and do nothing for a little while now. Maybe take a nap. The best part of this campsite is not only the beaches, the amazing elevated view, the fact that it's an island, which I didn't know at first, the seclusion, but that there's basically no bugs. I mean, it's early mid-June. Usually one gets destroyed in Algonquin, but for some reason this magical campsite has close to no bugs. I'm just relaxing by the fire here. My stove, my solo stove. It's a lot easier than keeping a fire going, especially on an island where there isn't a ton of wood. It takes virtually no fuel and it keeps a nice little warm source and it's fun. So I've just been reading my book, chilling by the fire. It's about 6 o'clock now. I'll probably start cooking in an hour or so. I had a pretty late lunch, so I'm not starving yet. I'm really glad I did this trip. It's probably been one of the most enjoyable things I've done, especially by myself. There's been quite a few people on the lake, and on the portages especially, so I've kind of had some human contact, but being for many hours by myself, and most of the contact is just, hey, how's it going? So it's not exactly deeper conversations. But I've been enjoying this. I don't think I'd want to do it for much longer. I think 2 nights, 3 days is feeling just about the perfect amount of time for an adventure like this. This is fun. It's evening time now. The wind has died down a lot. I just put on a pot of water to make some quinoa rice with some chicken and some onion. Just going to keep it nice and simple for this evening. I'm not even really that hungry. Lunch was so filling, but I feel like I should do dinner now before it gets dark. And so I've just got my solo stove going. It's been a wonderful little source of fun, just keeping it stoked. And I got a really nice bed of coals in there, so I think it'll cook it up in no time. I'm just enjoying my dinner right now in my hammock overlooking the water, and the sun has come out and it is gorgeous, and also the food tastes delicious. The sun is dipping. I brought my solo stove next to my hammock, and I'm just closing up everything for the night. I'm going to read my book and then call it another very successful day. What a wonderful day 2 this was. Good morning. I had a pretty chilly night. You can even see my breath a little bit right now with the fire right next to me. But it must have gone down to like 5 degrees or so. So I have my long underwear on even now this morning and kept my sweater on while I slept. Now I'm very glad to have my little stick stove going, and I'm going to whip up some oatmeal. And after that I'm going to pack up and head out, basically straight back to the car. It should only take me about an hour and a half or so, 2 hours to get back to the car, and then I'll boogie back home. So today is more of a travel day than it is a fun adventuring day. This has been such a wonderful trip. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. With everything going on in the world right now with COVID and the protests for Black Lives Matters and just unemployment and the economy, and there's just so many things happening. It was really nice to escape for a bit, get out of the city, reconnect with nature, and just focus on the basics of life. My fear is now that I've had this first solo camping trip, the novelty of it when I do it next time will wear off a little bit. You know, the first time you do something and you enjoy it, there's always like just such an extra level of love and I think how it stays in memory. But now that I've done it this 3-day trip, I'm definitely going to do it again. I really love this experience, but I am worried that it isn't going to have quite as much appeal now that I've almost become used to how it is to go solo camping. That being said, I shall plan more trips, and I look forward to especially the fall or late summer when there's no bugs and the water's even a bit warmer still, and I'm gonna have a great time then as well. So here's hopefully to many more trips like this. Always my least favorite part of camping, cleanup time of the site. Not cleanup, but pack up. Because usually when you pack super efficiently, so you cram everything into every nook and cranny that you have, and then in the morning it's just kind of a pain to have to get everything shoved into all its appropriate bags and then carried over back to the boat. But such is camping. For me, totally worth it. I do think next time I go, I need to be a little bit more careful with what I bring with me, especially food. I brought way too much food with me. But better too much food than too little food, right? I'm reminded just how lucky I am to be living in Canada, a country that takes care of its citizens in I think a really good way, and a country with such vast amounts of nature. For me to be able to escape to a place like this, only about 3 hours away from where I live, is so fortunate, so lucky. I mean, talk about social distancing out here, right? They initially had the parks closed, no camping allowed, but they opened up June 1st again. So that was last Monday. So I was really happy to be able to do this trip. I mean, it makes sense to open up camping again. There's very little contact one has out here. The most I had was on the Portage Trail, but that's easy enough to keep your distance there. Just did my final pack. Now I'm going to check the campsite, make sure I didn't leave anything behind, make sure I'm adhering to leave no trace, especially check for any loose piece of garbage that may have flown away when I was opening up a package of something. Also, always remember to look up in the trees, especially on the nails that are usually in the trees, to see if you hung something there and forgot it, or you left a piece of paracord or something hanging there. So I'm going to do one final lap. I quenched my fire already, got everything packed up, and then we're going to hit the water with the kayak again. This was my tent area around here. My hammock was up here. As you can see, there's nothing left anymore. This is my storage area. This is where I had everything hanging. Have my things on my little table there. Have everything packed, ready to go. And finally, this was my living room / cooking area. So I cooked everything on this block here. I had all my wood supplied there. Had all my tools laid out on this little metal table. But it looks all clean, nothing left anymore. Just wood for the next people. Wow, what an amazing view from up here. I really lucked out on this campsite, have something with higher altitude to be able to look up over the lake. Just gorgeous. The conditions for kayaking seem just about perfect right now. There's minimal to no wind on the water, so I should be able to make good time back over to Smoke Lake. Got one little about 300 meter portage, and then I'll be back in Smoke Lake. I'll boogie it through to the very end, throw everything on the car and head out. I don't think I'm going to make a lunch. I'll probably just grab some cheese and crackers and some salami or something that I have left over, and have a quick chomp down on that, and then that'll be the end of the trip. So this is a travel day. What a beautiful campsite that was. Okay, off to the portage, off to Smoke Lake. Final portage of the trip now, aside from to the car. Since I have a life straw filter for my water, this water isn't actually filtered until I drink it. So usually what I do when I reach a portage is I take a little sip of water, and then I dump out the rest so I don't have to carry the weight of unfiltered water, and then I can always just fill up on the other side again. But that saved me about 1 kilo of water right there. What I've been doing on this trip is first taking the kayak across and then taking my bags across. Sadly, I have to double carry. I wish I could find a setup that I can single carry, but I'm gonna have to buy a few things for that to happen. So first I'm gonna take all my bags and throw them here in the shade, and then I'm gonna walk through with my kayak. So this is how I've been portaging the kayak. I kind of just rest the seat on my back, almost on my shoulder blades, and then stabilize with my hands and walk it across. Every once in a while I have to tilt it up to see where I'm going, because for the most part I can only see the ground. Usually on the walk back from dropping off the kayak and picking up my bags, I take it kind of easy. This time I ran to get the camera, but usually I take it easy and go exploring, check out the sound of the falls, see what's going on there, look at the flowers. Because when you're carrying stuff, you're kind of just lugging it through. You can't enjoy the scenery as much, and a portage can be really pretty. It's the final leg of the journey. Just gotta paddle through Smoke Lake, which has a few cottages on it, so it's going to feel like I'm returning to civilization a bit. And then I'm back to the car. That'll be the end of the trip. So I'm going to try to really enjoy this, take it easy. On the way to this portage on day one, I hugged the east shore. So today, just to see something a little bit different, I'm going to hug the west shore. And hopefully it's not too windy, because Smoke Lake's a pretty wide open lake and the wind is coming straight at me right now. I hope it's just a bit of a tunneling effect through the narrows up ahead of me, because I don't really feel like battling wind for the next hour and a half. I'd rather just take a nice easy paddle back to the car. So that's it. That concludes my first 3-day, 2-night solo camping trip here in Algonquin Park. It was absolutely fantastic. I went from Smoke to Ragged to Big Porcupine, back to Ragged, spent the night there, and then now I'm back at Smoke Lake. I've packed everything up onto the car and I'm ready to do the 3-hour drive back to Toronto. I must say that was an amazing adventure, and I highly encourage everyone to just get out there and explore nature.